in the very, very simplest terms, it was the rebirth of classical learning in the 15th and 16th centuries, spreading outwards from Italy. And this includes loads and loads of new developments, including political thinking, religious thinking, scientific thinking, and most importantly to us, artwork. So hands up, has anyone ever been to Italy? A couple of hands, very good. So if you now have a think about the sculptures, about the statues, churches, and artists you can think of from Italy, if they aren't Roman, they're probably from the Renaissance. And the reason why that is quite simple. So there was a belief, again during the Renaissance, that God charged humanity with a task. And that task to create beautiful things, to please him. And as such, creating beautiful things is then turned into an act of worship to God. That's why you see this explosion of art. However,
Excuse me.
So you have an explosion of artwork, but you didn't come here for a talk on artwork, you came in on a talk to see me kill people with swords. So I'll move over to that now. Quite an important thing to understand is that Renaissance Italy at the time, in the 16th century particularly, is what I look at, is horrendously violent, incredibly cutthroat. Each individual city in Italy isn't united. They're controlled by groups of noble families. Each noble family wanting to completely murder the other, and sometimes murder their own one to take on over. The crime rate has been investigated a lot in academic work, and has been proven to be horrendously violent, and only gets worse over the period. So, understanding that, it becomes quite obvious why someone teaching you how to fence and defend yourself in that time becomes quite popular. So, what we're going to look at today is the work of a particular fencing master called Achille Marozzo. I quite like him, I think he's quite cool. He writes in 1536 and claims to be able to teach you to defend yourself with any weapon you can conceive, both in the emerging duel of honour, which becomes very popular at the time, or on the streets, in case someone accosts you, robs you, or something like that. And Marozzo talks about an awful lot of different weapon combinations. What you're going to look at today is the sword combined with a dagger. So a lot of you may be wondering what the dagger is for, and there's a very simple answer to that. So if Ryan throws a blow at me, I can block that with my sword, and then just stab him. Very simple. Does the job. However, keep in mind that talk on artwork. Was that beautiful? Some people's definition of beautiful is different. So, instead, Marozzo has a bit of a process for his fights, because to him, a fight isn't just to defend yourself. It very much is, but there are other purposes. To show your honour, to show your grace, and to demonstrate to the crowd that I'm clearly in the right because I'm the most elegant, noble man you've ever seen in your life. So, he has another use for this dagger instead. I'll show you what happened then. So he has a bit of a process for his fights. We'll start off in guard. Marozzo thinks that it is more noble and esteemed to defend yourself from some uncouth attacker than it is to go attacking people yourself. So really, I want to prompt my opponent to attack me. I'll start off by just hoping he's rash and arrogant. Unfortunately, Ryan isn't. He's a bit clever. So he doesn't. So I'm going to press him just gently, just creep towards him, and he still doesn't move. That's annoying. So Marozzo says that the next thing will persuade your opponent to move. He wants you to use the false edge of your sharpened sword to just throw a very simple cut to his hands. Because currently this is a very uncertain situation. I don't know what's going to happen, he doesn't know what's going to happen. If I throw any committed move, he can respond to that any way that he wants. And it basically just sits us doing this, which doesn't look very elegant. Instead, if I use Marozzo's gentle persuasion of cutting his fingers off, he wants to move that hand. He's going to lift that up, and suddenly he thinks, oh, my hand's already raised, he's used his attack, it's now my turn to hit him back. In a normal system, I would then have to defend myself with my sword. So I do that cut, I then have to move down here, and then have to try and find the time to attack Ryan can block that, so he has the same time to move. If I then add the dagger, I have a different usage. So again, I gently persuade him to move, I just turn the dagger downwards and use it like a shield to defend myself, which, as you can also imagine, frees up my sword beautifully to attack his leg. Unfortunately for me, Ryan quite likes to keep his knees as well as his fingers, because he's greedy like that. So he might have time to slip that leg back and defend himself. And now he thinks, wow, he's thrown himself over here, his head's way open, now time to attack, once again. It's that idea of tempo that shows up all the time in every system of fighting. However, I'm a clever man. Again, I'm using that God-given ingenuity that separates man from beast. So, do that again, settle down here. As that comes in, I use that false edge of the sword to settle from this position which I planned myself to be in. And I've opened my head as a target on purpose. Marozzo likes you to plan out your fights. He wants you to use that rational thinking. It provides openings, which then forces my opponent to be obedient to my plan. Once he is obedient, I know what he's going to do next. If I know what he's going to do next in a fight, I've won. So once again, I can strike him in the head quite easily. Now, a lot of duels of honour end at first blood. A lot of them don't, especially if I'm getting mugged. So, I might strike my opponent, might slash him across the face, shave that beard, do anything I want, and cut again. However, Marozzo has a specific instruction. He says, the reason why I keep telling you to defend yourself after I've hit him, the reason why I tell you to take 3 or 4 steps back, isn't just for show. Your opponent might be incensed with fury and rage. He might be offended that I've hit him. He might want to hit me back no matter what. So instead, we go again and land in that position. I've hit him, he then might try and hit me back. So very elegantly, I can defend myself. He's an uncouth beast after all, as that duel shows. So I've settled into the position I started in, I've demonstrated my grace and superiority to the crowd, and he's found himself lacking in a few pints of blood. All in a day's work for the Renaissance gentleman. Thank you very much, everyone.